Thank you for subscribing to our channel. Today is Sunday, June 6, 2021. BBC report. Colombia unrest, President Duque pledges police reform after protests. It comes after weeks of street protests and widespread allegations of human rights abuses. More than 60 people have died in clashes with security forces, with at least 3 officers facing murder charges. The violence has sparked international outcry and calls for an independent investigation into the deaths. Last week, negotiations stalled between President Duque's government and an umbrella group of protesters called the National Strike Committee, but talks are expected to resume on Sunday.
BBC report. Israel arrests Palestinian activist Muna el-Kurd in East Jerusalem. Video footage showed Muna el-Kurd being taken in handcuffs from her home in the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood. Police said the 23-year-old was accused of participating in riots. Ms. el-Kurd's brother Mohammed was also questioned after handing himself in to police. Both were later released. Tensions in Sheikh Jarrah played a role in recent fighting between Israel and the militant group Hamas. The conflict last month saw 11 days of hostilities in which more than 250 people were killed, most of them in Gaza, which is ruled by Hamas.
CNN report. Biden stays mum on state abortion laws with major test ahead for Roe. As more Republican-led states pass abortion bans with the easing of the COVID-19 pandemic, a heated debate has returned to center stage with abortion rights supporters warning of a looming threat to access and anti-abortion activists determined to keep up the momentum. But one key person has been noticeably quiet on the issue, President Joe Biden. Advocates want the president to make more noise, but historians tell CNN that he's facing a unique moment at the intersection of history and day-to-day politics that helps explain the relative silence from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
CNN report. How a vaccination experiment known as Project S transformed one small Brazilian city. Hope has returned to the small city of Ceará, Brazil, after researchers vaccinated almost its entire adult population in a citywide medical experiment this spring. Everything is practically open now, and the atmosphere is so different, so much lighter and joyful. We feel safe while the other cities around us are in a very difficult situation, says Ricardo Luis, owner of a well-known restaurant in Ceará.
Fox report. Former Professor slams NYC psychiatrist who talked about shooting white people as unfit to practice medicine. Former Princeton professor Dr. Carol Swain argued on Fox and Friends Weekend on Sunday that the New York City psychiatrist who told a Yale School of Medicine audience that she had fantasies of unloading a revolver into the head of any white person that got in her way is unfit to practice medicine. She should not be practicing medicine, Swain told host Lawrence Jones. What she says matters. There are lunatics that may be listening to her speech right now that will go out and act on her fantasy, Swain explained.
CNN report. Chinese women were already discriminated in the workplace. A 3-child policy might make things worse. When Janice Zhang went job hunting in March, at every interview the 33-year-old was asked the same question: was she married yet? Zhang works in human resources in the Chinese city of Chengdu, so is familiar with the concerns her potential employers had in mind, because she's asked them herself. Would she be pregnant soon? How many children does she plan to have? How much maternity leave will she take?
Deutsche Welle report. Last surviving Auschwitz liberator David Dushman dies. Skeletons everywhere, was how Dushman in 2015 recalled Auschwitz, the Nazi German death camp liberated on January 27, 1945. By Red Army troops including his tank unit. At 98, Dushman died in a Munich clinic on Friday night, the Bavarian city's Jewish IKG cultural community announced in a press statement on Sunday, describing him as a liberating hero of Auschwitz. Driving a Soviet T-34 tank in 1945, the then 21-year-old Dushman mowed down an electric fence at Auschwitz in then Nazi-occupied Poland, helping to set surviving inmates free.
Al Jazeera report. Israel's Netanyahu denies incitement, alleges election fraud. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected accusations of incitement and said the newly formed Israeli coalition that is poised to unseat him was the result of the greatest election fraud in the history of democracy. In power for 12 consecutive years, Netanyahu faces being toppled by a motley coalition of 8 parties united only by their shared hostility towards him. We are witnessing the greatest election fraud in the history of the country, in my opinion in the history of any democracy, Netanyahu said in comments to legislators from his right-wing Likud party.
Deutsche Welle report. Popular Nigerian televangelist T.B. Joshua dies at 57. T.B. Joshua, an influential Nigerian preacher who claimed prayer could cure AIDS and homosexuality, has died at the age of 57. Known as the Prophet to his followers, his death was announced on his Facebook page with a message that read, "God has taken his servant." Joshua died on Saturday after a live broadcast, but the cause of death has not been made public. He rose to prominence in Africa in the 1990s, but worshippers would flock to his services in Lagos, Nigeria, from all over the world.
Al Jazeera report. Key Democratic senator says he will oppose U.S. voting rights bill. West Virginia Democratic Senator Joe Manchin, a crucial swing vote in the United States Senate, announced on Sunday he intends to oppose a sweeping voting rights bill backed by the majority of his fellow Democrats that would expand access to voting across the U.S. Speaking on Fox News Sunday, Manchin said the bill, known as the For the People Act, is the wrong piece of legislation to bring our country together and unite our country, and I'm not supporting that because I think it will divide us further.
Deutsche Welle report. Normandy D-Day commemorations muted by pandemic. A memorial to 22,500 British-led fallen was unveiled Sunday at the Normandy hillside village of Vir-sur-Mer, overlooking what on D-Day in 1944 was code-named Gold Beach. The Allied landing of 156,000 Allied troops, carried on 7,000 boats and called Operation Overlord, led to the liberation of occupied Western Europe and Nazi Germany's surrender a year later as the Soviet Red Army approached Berlin from the east.
CNN report. Nevada passes law that bans racially discriminatory school mascots and sundown sirens. The state of Nevada is banning racially discriminatory school mascots after legislation was signed into law on Friday, as well as banning town sirens historically used to discriminate. Gov. Steve Sisolak was joined by members of the Nevada Indian Commission and tribal elders during the signing. Assembly Bill 88 specifically prohibits using a name, logo, mascot, song or other identifier associated with the Confederate States of America or a federally recognized Indian tribe, except when a tribe has specifically given a school permission to do so.
Al Jazeera report. Why are calls growing to investigate the Wuhan lab leak theory? There is growing public support among the world's scientific community for fully exploring the possibility the coronavirus may have emerged from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, leading to the global outbreak that has killed more than 3.7 million people worldwide. The lab leak theory was largely sidelined in public scientific discourse in the early days of the outbreak, after the first cases of COVID-19, the disease caused by the virus, were confirmed in the Chinese city in December 2019.
BBC report. Xiaohongshu account blocked after post on Tiananmen anniversary. Tell me loudly, what's the date today? The account belonging to Xiaohongshu posted to Weibo. The post to its 14 million followers was swiftly deleted. The page has now been replaced by a message saying it is being investigated for violations of laws and regulations. Xiaohongshu, which is backed by Chinese internet giants Alibaba and Tencent, has yet to comment publicly on the matter. Xiaohongshu regularly poses questions in its posts and has made similar posts to mark the weekend.
Fox report. Seattle parent blasts school board for not admitting homeless camp is dangerous. Goodrich claimed the people residing at the homeless encampment are carrying guns to shoot rats that are on the property, and expressed there are multiple illegal activities that are allegedly occurring near school grounds. There is King County Needle Exchange that comes right up behind our school and delivers needles. There are prostitutes that get delivered there, Goodrich mentioned. It's a completely out of control environment, only feet away from our playground, and the kids see all of this.
Thank you for watching 5 p.m. recap. To be notified, you can subscribe our channel and activate the bell.